So 8-10 weeks straight, I sparred over 100 rounds. These guys are pros. The sparring partner I had was 170 pounds. One was 173 pounds. I'm sparring against these guys to get ready for my world championship fight against Franchise, who's a decorated amateur, decorated pro. So you cannot tell. First of all, I know I can beat up Rolly.
Claressa Shields will not stop. I don't even know what to say, bro. She won't stop. She just keep going.
He knows that.
Now she's saying Rolly knows he'll get beat by her.
He
bro.
knows that. And it's not a thing of like I'm not, if we just comparing skill, just because somebody is stronger don't mean that they can win in no fight. That's not how it works. I promise you it's not.
But
it's not how it works. That's not how boxing works.
Claressa,
okay,
you do understand he is a 3-division champ. 3/4 of his fight has ended by KO. So he has dynamite. You've never, and it's hard for me to believe that if you spar Shakur and Keyshawn Davis and some of the people, they're going in there and sparring you as if they were getting ready to fight a Tank Davis or a Ryan Garcia. It's hard for me to believe that. I'm not saying that that's not true, but it's just hard for me to believe. And you do realize once you challenge a manhood, like you challenge Rolly, he's going to look to destroy you. He's going to look to hurt you, Claressa. I'm just being honest.
Now, that was from Shannon Sharpe Nightcap. Shout out to him. And he was absolutely drilling her. And I have a separate video about that. But wait, there's more. You would think they were at odds. Maybe it stops there. Nope, not with Claressa Shields. The GWOAT. After that, she went on the Ring show, because you know they're a bunch of clout chasers. So they had to get her on, and she was a live in studio guest, and she was double downing on it like, yeah, I'll beat Rolly.
I see you've been picking lately, and now you're picking my opponents. I see you've been.
No.
I got
right into that.
I got Rolly. Let me get Rolly. You get.
Listen.
So that's Devin Haney saying, you picking my opponents, let me get Rolly.
Devin a spar years ago.
Yeah,
we was at the gym.
Yeah, you did.
And it was like, it wasn't I'm going to beat you up or nothing. It was like.
Want to work.
Just want to work because I've always worked with men.
Makes you better.
Yeah.
It do make you better. And that's why you see I'm blowing these girls out in the dust. It's easy.
Why him? Why did you call his name?
Yeah, why did you call Rolly out?
So, the only thing.
Rolly catches more strays on this show. It's
First of all, I
Shady's
love Rolly. He's a good.
Max Kellerman, he need to stop.
He's a good dude, but when it comes to skill in boxing, he's not skilled. I'm not saying I'll get in the ring and I'll knock Rolly out. But what I will say is, with my boxing pedigree, with my height, my jab, my skills, I can beat Rolly in a boxing match. And that's just what it is.
I see you've been.
So again, she doubled down on it. Like, bro, the madness must stop. Like, this is crazy. What are we even talking about, bro? For starters, Claressa Shields got like 3 knockouts. So we know you're not knocking out a top level or anybody who's been a champion for real, unless it's like, I don't know, Paulie Malignaggi or somebody. You know what I mean? You're not gonna knock them out because you're not even knocking out your female counterparts by and large. So we know that's not the case, which means with an intergender competition, it would be insanely dangerous because you would have to be switched on for all 12 rounds if we're going to treat you. See, the problem I have here is there ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. If you are going to go this route, which I'm not condoning, by the way, but you keep pushing this. I beat Rolly. I beat Jake Paul. I beat Keith Thurman. They probably all would hurt you, to be honest. And I don't know if this is like autism, but Claressa seems very fixated on proving something and proving that she can beat a male. And the argument is, yo, I've sparred with Darrell and this and that. Bro, we don't care. Sparring is sparring. That like how many dudes have told you these infamous sparring stories? Like, man, I was da 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 da. Remember when Paul Spadafora allegedly got one over on Floyd Mayweather in the gym, right? And everybody's like, but look at Floyd Mayweather's career and look at Paul Spadafora's career, and there's no comparison. So who really gives a what is happening in sparring? That's like me saying, I'll beat Kobe, rest in peace. I'll beat LeBron because at the YMCA back in the day, I had handles and they couldn't stop me. But they also evolved their game. There's also differences where you have a referee. A lot of sparring sessions don't necessarily have an official referee, and sometimes it don't have a referee that is trained and knows what they're doing for sure. You know what I mean? So you can get point deductions, and it's just a different rule set. Also, smaller gloves, no headgear. You would be punched by a man. So even if you were outboxing Rolly and like on your, if he catches you, which you keep saying, I'm much bigger. I've already exposed in my last fight. He's listed at 5'8", and you're listed at 5'9". You guys have an identical reach. So you're really not as big as you think, comparatively speaking, to Rolly. It's facts. And I'm going to take it a step further, right? Claressa Shields, she keep talking about, oh, he too little because you're talking about his campaign weight, which we're not talking about bone density and things like that. You're like, oh, he was fighting at 35, 40, now 47, so I'll beat him, right? I'll beat him. But the reality is Crawford fought at 147. Can you beat him? Crawford was making 147 just like Rolly. Can you beat him? Gervonta Davis fights at 35, 140. Can you beat him? Where did you even get Rolly from anyway? Where are you like picking? You're like picking random men, right? Eileen Warnos or something. You're like picking random men. That's a bar, right? Keith Thurman, Jake Paul, and Rolly. It's like it's almost like the men you don't see the vision. Because you're not calling out Gervonta Davis. You're not calling out Anthony Joshua. You're not calling out Deontay Wilder. So you're like kind of picking and choosing random men that you feel that you could beat. You're not calling out Crawford. You're definitely not calling out like Errol Spence or Sebastian Fundora, right? And you keep talking about these guys are too small, Rolly too little. I sparred 175 and 180 and I weigh 185 and this, that, and the third, right? Cool. But here's the thing, people. My question to you guys is this. Claressa Shields is like, I'm way too big for Rolly or whoever, right? And I weigh 185 and I spar with much bigger guys, blah, 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 right? All right, fine. If you think there's no inherent differences between a man, why stop at Rolly? Why not fight a guy like, I don't know, let's say Artur Beterbiev, right? He weighs 175, so Claressa Shields should spar Artur Beterbiev, and you will quickly learn what it is and what it ain't. And I feel like the problem with Claressa Shields and what she's doing is she's a talented, great fighter, but you're turning people against you with this rhetoric. It's almost like the people who mess up and they say something racist or whatever, and they get the crisis consultant because their career's in shambles. That's almost what Claressa Shields is doing, straight cheddar Bob, and you're hurting your own career. Like, people would all probably be in agreement that you're the GOAT or at least top one of them. But then when you go off the rails with stuff like this, it just becomes very hard to like kind of get behind the movement, right? It just gets real hard because, again, fight. If I'm lying, I'm flying. Fight Artur Beterbiev. Get what you want. He's closer in weight. I ain't never been dropped. We'll see. Fight Artur Beterbiev. Because guess what? Artur Beterbiev is putting down big old Marcus Brown, an Olympian. He putting down and hurting guys like Joe Smith Jr. in a few rounds, right? He hurt Dimitri Bivol, who's definitely savvy, and Clarissa's like, oh, but my defense and stuff. So Bivol has great skills, great experience, and he getting hurt. So Claressa very well will be hurt. And I feel like one of the biggest flaws with the GOAT is the need to constantly like prove your worth. Let the people decide. Let the people judge you, right? Let the people like your personality and stuff like that. But you're constantly trying your hardest to reaffirm, arguing with everybody. You're calling into radio shows, pretending it's not you when you have a certain cadence and a certain voice and everybody knows it's you. And you just fought Franchon Cruz-Dezurn in a rematch. You had a great performance. You had a great crowd. And instead of us talking about that, like, man, Claressa Shields, she doing great numbers, especially in Detroit. You are shifting the conversation to the point where it's this dumb stuff about Rolly. You know what I mean? Arguing with Shannon Sharpe. And then the other thing that I don't respect that Claressa Shields just did is when Shannon Sharpe was cooking you and he was drilling you with this whole Rolly business, like Rolly would knock you out, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh, I'll spar him. And then he was like, nah. Don't try to switch it up now. You didn't say nothing about sparring. You said that in a fight, no headgear, smaller gloves, you said a fight. And then she was playing like she didn't understand. Oh, you mean a real fight? You know, I don't like when people insult my intelligence. You feel you'll beat Rolly, stand on that. You don't have to play like you don't understand and like, oh, you was talking about sparring? Oh, in the sparring? And then she try to reframe it and revise it and fluff it up. And she was like, with a full camp and 3 months to train, you telling me he'll knock me out? He didn't say nothing at that point about knocking you out. He said he will beat you at that point. So why, if you really think you could beat Rolly or whatever, why did you play around with Shannon Sharpe like you didn't know he was talking about a fight? You were talking about a fight. You think you could beat Rolly. That's just what it is. And then you try to play, oh, man, are we talking about sparring or are we talking about a fight? Because I'll spar him. No, it's not what you said. And to be honest, I feel like this makes Claressa Shields' past beefs look worse because you got to start looking at Layla Ali and Alicia Baumgardner and the people she went out. You are clearly a confident fighter, like in the ring, but your behavior does not come across as somebody who is truly confident in all regards. Always talking about, oh, I look good, and light-skinned women are always attacking me because I look better than them. This don't make you look better, bro. I'm just being real. See, I think Claressa Shields at this point have a lot of yes men and women or whatever around her, so she's very accomplished. She might not want to hear from me or whatever. I don't really care. We don't have to be friends. We don't have to. I'm just telling you what it is. But I feel like enough is enough. And to all you suckers out there who don't keep it real like Boxingego, right? I didn't come this far to be silenced. You know what I mean? I put work in just like anybody else. Claressa Shields get up and do what she do. I wake up every day, crazy work ethic, and do what I do for double-digit years. So you can't play that with me. I earn my stripes. I got stripes like Yankee uniforms, right? So with that being said, I'm entitled to my opinion. She's entitled to hers. But a lot of people are simping and they want to play this game like, oh, man, you got to respect it because it's confident. There is a thin line between confidence and delusion. I don't have to respect it because I'm very confident. I know what I could do, and can't nobody tell me otherwise. So I rock with that. I ain't never had a problem with Claressa's confidence fighting females. Like if she say, I'll beat this girl, never really been an issue. You're very decorated, 2X undisputed, or multiple 3X, 4X undisputed, 2X, I meant to say gold medalist. So I don't have a problem with confidence. That's cool. Some people are acting like people are trying to beat Claressa Shields down in order to like humble her up or whatever the case is. But it's not even about that. There's a thin line between confident and just being outright delusional with what you're thinking. And I get it. People say, "Oh, everything's delusional until it's done." All this stuff, all this like woo-woo, whimsical stuff. I'm not trying to hear it. Until you fight Arthur Beterbiev, miss me with that. Fight Wilder, fight Arthur Beterbiev or one of these people if you really got to get that off your chest. And then other than that, I don't want to hear it. But I don't like to sit back and go back and forth and argue on stuff that I can't see. So hopefully Claressa just drops this whole I'll whoop a man angle unless we're going to get to see it. Because then now is put up or shut up. Rolly or Wilder or Beterbiev or whatever male that you fight, you know, you go have to show it. But if you're not finna get in the ring, I'm not talking about sparring. At this point, it's beyond sparring. I don't care about sparring. People have bad days in sparring. I want Claressa with a full camp and whatever man with a full camp. It can't be no sparring and go light. I need to see it for all the stakes. Get what you want. You know what I mean? Get what you want to get. And again, I think Claressa is definitely misguided in the fact of you keep referencing what happened in sparring. Sparring is not good enough because I've seen guys like men fight in sparring tapes leaked, but then when they fought as pros, it wasn't the same as what happened in sparring. So sparring don't really cut it. Sparring don't tell the whole story because who knows what your weight was at, where your nutrition was at. You weren't necessarily tunnel vision in. I know people that spar when they didn't even intend on sparring. And then as far as that dude that dropped you, you keep saying that he did this nefarious stuff with his glove, but there's really no proof for that. You know what I mean? There's no proof for that. There's no like video or anything. So that don't look good either. Because you're like, how come he's not suing me? Where is that guy? No one even knows where he's at. How come you're not suing him? If he did what you're claiming, which is very malicious, you know, to the point where you had to go to the whip and pull out a weapon or whatever, why aren't you suing him? Let me know these things in the comment section. I'm really getting sick of talking about this, and hopefully it's the last of it, and Claressa Shields just understands her role. And we don't need the world with young, impressionable women looking up to Claressa Shields and then taking on this identity of, like, Claressa is an inspiration to many, especially women, right? So we have to get back to the basics. You know what I mean? Do you want to be a woman or do you want to be a man? You know, do you want a bunch of women that look up to you thinking that it is in their best interest to challenge a bunch of men to a fight? Like, come on, bro. What are we talking about? And then if a man actually touches a female and the police get called, then the man like this. The man like this. So come on, bro. I hope we drop this. And why do people have so much problem with trans athletes in the Olympics and stuff if you want to see Claressa Shields fight a guy? And you, oh man, I love her confidence. I don't. I love it with other stuff, but not when you keep saying you're going to whoop a man. Come on.